Hello, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. It's so nice to have you here with me. My name is Shelley, and this channel is Koala Knits and Knacks. And I'm so excited to show you this cute little pattern for the baby chubby bunnies. Now, I do have the mummy chubby bunny that's on my channel, and you can look for that under the videos. But in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the baby chubby bunnies. I use my Addi 22 needle machine. You can use your Sentro as well. I use loops and threads, Baby Delight yarn. It is a 3-weight yarn, so you can use whatever 3-weight yarn you like, or even use your 4-weight yarn, that's fine too. And you'll need a little bit of fiber fill. You're going to need a pom-pom maker for the little tail in the back, which I show you at near the end of the video. And yeah, that's about all you're going to need, your normal darning needles, etc. But join me as we make this adorable pattern together. You're going to love it. And so are the little hands that are going to be able to hold these little beautiful bunnies. So thanks for joining me again, and have fun. So my Addi 22 is set up. You can use your Sentro 22 needle machine as well, whichever one you have. And I'm going to bring my last white needle, my first black needle, in line with my yarn feeder here. I am using loops and threads. What is it called here? Baby Delight yarn. It's a 3-weight yarn. I believe this particular brand is well, that's not what I want to do. I believe this particular brand is no longer available, and maybe it's because it gets so knotted. Man, the center pull, it's just crazy. Every ball of yarn, you have to work through knots. So anyways, you can use any 3-weight yarn if you want it to be exactly the same size as mine, but you can use 4-weight yarn. Use whatever yarn you want that works in your machine. Follow this pattern and you'll get the same outcome. Okay, so let's put our working yarn. We don't need waste yarn. We're going to put our working yarn behind that first black needle, in front of the next, behind and in front, all the way around until you get to that last white needle, and then it should be in front, okay, or behind, however you want to see it. Okay, and so then I'm going to change my counter to 0. For this particular project, I need 50 rows total, but I'm going to do several different colors, but the inside 25 rows can be the same color. So I'm actually going to do 30 rows of this yellow, okay, and that'll be my inside, and then the one small section of the front. So I'm going to keep turning until I get to, what did I say? 30 rows, okay? And you can do it however you want. If you want to do 25 rows so that the inside or the outside, whichever you prefer. I'm going to just make the inside a solid color, and then my outside is going to be different colors, and we'll do this color changes together, okay? So I'm going to keep going here till I get to 30 rows. And when I get there, I'll see you back. All right, so I'm at 30. I'm going to cut that yarn tail off. I'm going to open the latch, and I'm going to put it between the last white and the first black. Now, when I say 30 for or 25 for the inside, that's because we are doing a double thickness of this so that you don't see the stuffing through the layer, okay? The next yarn color I'm going to grab is the purple. So I'm going to take my working end, I'm going to open my latch. I'm going to put it in between the last white, the first black, and I'm going to hold both of those tails that are in the center there. I'm going to do 3 or 4 needles, and then I'm going to take both ends of my working yarn and give it a little tug. You saw that pop down over that little divider, and that's because I want to keep my beginning stitches even tension to the rest of the project. So I always give that a little tug. Okay, so we are going to tie that, cut it off. I'm going to do 5 rows only. So that's 1, 2, and 5. So quick, it goes really quick. Okay, then I'm going to cut that, open my latch. I'm going to put that between the last white, the first black. I'm going to choose my next color, which is going to be green. I'm going to do the same thing. Hold those 2 working tails. Do 3 or 4 needles. This is the one I was watching. You need to watch, okay? You pull it till it just pops down. Sometimes you have to help it too. With this 3-weight yarn, it generally pops down on its own, but sometimes with the 4 and 5-weight yarns, you have to just help it over a bit, but that's okay. You can do that, okay? And now we're going to do another 5 rows. So right now we just finished row 35. So we're going to go till we finish row 40. Oops. And I've got a knot in my ball, so I'm going to untangle that, and I'm going to go until I get to row 40, and then I'll come back and do one more color change with you. Okay, so I finished row 40. I'm going to open the latch, do the same thing, put it between that last white, the first black. I'm going to do another color change. I'm going to do yellow. And the same deal. Tie that off. I'm going to do 5 rows of this, and that will take me to 45 rows. Then I'm going to do one more color change, and I'm going to do 5 rows of that, and that will take me to row 50. And then once I get there, we will cast off together, okay? So I'm choosing to do this as a multicolored little bunny, with, of course, the solid on the inside, because then it saves you the work of having to keep changing colors, okay? You can do it however you want. You can do the full thing in one color. You can do 2 colors. You can rotate. You can change colors every 10 rows. You just make it however you want to make it, and it'll be absolutely adorable. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the last 10 rows, and when I get that done, I'll see you back. All right, so while I was going, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do the last 10 rows yellow. So that's what I did. And we'll see how that turns out. I thought it might be nice to do it that way. So I'm going to now open my latch, cut off a long tail. I'm going to put that into the center. I'm going to find my needle. We're going to do a long tail cast off, okay? So this is essentially just like you make a beanie, really. And then we're going to rotate our handle, take off the first few stitches before we continue rotating this machine, just so that we can get some slack on the loosened edges here. Okay, I think I cut off way too much yarn tail, but that is fine. Okay, there we go. Did you see that little bunny basket that I have on my channel that I just I put up recently as well? It's a bunny Easter basket. My intent was to make a pile of these bunnies and put them in the basket and display it that way. But I decided once the basket was done that I was going to just post it by itself. But if you make the basket and you make these bunnies, make 5 or 6 or 7 of them, or however many you want, and fill that basket with these bunnies, and that would be such a cute little gift for somebody to have. Like, make them all different colors and just have fun with it. Just an idea that I have for you, okay? So now that we have that removed, we're going to stretch it out lengthwise and widthwise. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to remove my Addi so that you can see a little bit better. Actually, I'm not going to remove my Addi. We're going to put this aside because I don't want to remove it, then finish this, and then come back and have to set up my Addi. So we're going to move on to the ears and the arms, and then we will do the assembly after, okay? All right, so let's start with our ears. We're going to need to do a flat edge on one side. So we're going to cinch one end and do a flat edge on one end. And so I'm going to begin with a long tail cast on, and we will cinch the end, okay? Or we'll make our flat edge on the other end. So what we're going to do is bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn feeder. Then we're going to go behind that first black, in front of the next, just as we do a long tail cast on, behind and in front, all the way around. It's going to be in front of that last white needle. I'm going to open my yarn feeder, set my counter to 0, and I'm going to work for 14 rows, okay? Doesn't take very long when you have yarn that works so well in your machine like this. 3-weight yarn is a dream in the machine, and all of your machines. So if you're struggling ever with 4-weight yarn or 5-weight yarn and you're getting frustrated and thinking you got to throw your machines out or sell them, go buy some 3-weight yarn and make a few projects, and you'll love your machine again. Just a tip, don't give up on your machine. Just find yarn that works well in it, okay? So that's 14 rows completed. I'm going to bring my last white, my first black, in line. I'm going to cut off my working yarn, open the latch, put that in between. Then I'm going to grab my waste yarn, okay? So I'm just going to grab the purple that's here because I can see the stitches easily between those 2 colors. And I'm going to just tie one little knot here, okay? And then I work 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn. Just as quickly as that, okay? Then I'm going to cut that off, open the latch, put that between those two needles, and then on the second time around it lets itself go. Now when I only need waste yarn for one end, I choose this end because it comes off really, really easily. But if you were going to mass produce these things and you're going to throw this in a bin and work on it later, then you should do your waste yarn on the top and long tail cast off on the bottom. That way this isn't going to unravel on you as you jostle it around. Okay, so that's one ear. We're going to do another one. Okay, and I will show you what I mean by that. So now we're going to do the other ear the opposite way. Okay, I'm going to do the long tail. What did I do here first? I did the long tail cast on to start with, so I'm going to start with waste yarn just to show you the difference. If you're a beginner, then it might be helpful for you. Okay, so I'm going to go behind that first black needle with my waste yarn in front and behind all the way around. So again, don't let this confuse you. I'm showing you both ways, okay? And then you're going to do 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn. Okay. Now I'm going to cut that off. I watched for that black marked divider coming around. I saw it coming and I knew I was at the end. Open my latch there, put it in between my last white, my first black needle. Then I'm going to take my working yarn. This is the color of my ear. Okay. Again, we're doing the opposite way I did the first one, just so I can show you the difference between waste yarn at the beginning of the project and waste yarn at the end of the project, okay? So now we're going to do 3 or 4 needles. I pull both ends of my working yarn just to tighten these first stitches. One little tie there. And I'm going to do 14 rows. I have to count them manually because I didn't set my... This is 4, 5... And I'm going to go around until I get 14 rows done, and then I'll see you back. All right, so I just finished my 14 rows. I am going to take my needle, and we are going to do the long tail cast off. Oh, it's still attached to my body there, the body of the little rabbit. Okay, we're going to do the long tail cast off, just like we did with our body part. Okay. Now, I heard that this yarn was discontinued in stores. I think you can still get whatever's left on Amazon, but I think it's discontinued in stores. And seriously, if for no other reason, if it was because of the knots that's in the middle of the ball, then I agree, it should be discontinued. There is not a ball that I use of this yarn where I don't fight with the knots that are in the middle. It's one of the reasons why I think I should go out and get myself a yarn winder. And then from the very beginning, before I even start any projects, I buy a ball and I use my yarn winder and I make it into a cake. Because then it will take away the fight. Because seriously, it is so knotted on the inside of the balls that, like, it's crazy. Not sure why, but that's just how it is. Okay, so now we've got that off. We did our long tail cast off. You're going to go ahead and you're going to repeat the process for the arms. You can choose which way you want to do your waste yarn, either at the beginning or at the end. I just showed you both ways, okay? And you're going to repeat that process, and you're going to make 2 arms, waste yarn on one end, and then you're going to do 8 rows of your working yarn. So I'm going to do waste yarn, 8 rows of my mint. I'm going to keep my arms and my ears the same color. 8 rows of my mint, and then I'm going to do the long tail cast off, okay? So go ahead and make your arms. Again, waste yarn and 8 rows if you're doing the waste yarn first, and then long tail cast off. Or if you're doing the waste yarn at the end, you'll do your long tail cast on with your working yarn. You'll do 8 rows, and then you'll do your waste yarn and cast and rotate the barrel twice, and it'll come off, okay? I hope that didn't confuse you. Just watch if it did, watch the 2 ways that I showed you for the ears and pick one and make your arms that way, doing 8 rows with your working color that you choose, okay? And when you get that done, we're going to begin assembly. All right, so to begin, we're going to grab our body, and of course we've stretched it both widthwise and lengthwise, okay? And then we're going to take the one end, and we're going to cinch it up, okay? I'm going to take the solid end because that one's going to go on the inside, And then I'm going to take my needle, thread that end, I'm going to go ahead and just reinforce this around once, okay? Just around the circle. These little bunnies are quick and easy and fun to make. And I'm going to tie a knot. And you know what? Any little boy or girl is going to love these because they'll fit in their hands so nicely, and be easy to hold and to play with. And it's just going to be one of those little toys that they're going to love to carry around when they're going shopping with their mom or their dad, and and you know, just want a little toy to hang on to when they're in their car seat or whatever this is, or even a nighttime bunny just to hold or just to play with. They're wonderful. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it, I tucked it inside, okay, like a beanie, and I pulled that. You watched me do it. I wasn't explaining it to you as I was doing it, but I pulled it in half, and then I put the needle through that yarn is coming out this other end, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cinch this one up. So if you've ever made a beanie on your Addi, you know it's done the same way. Now these are both really long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those a little bit shorter so it's easier to work with. I'm going to take this one here, the one that's on the outer layer, and here we go. Okay, so then I'm going to tie that off so that the inside comes right close to the inside layer and this outside layer are right tucked up close together. Then I'm going to put both of these strands on my needle. And I'm going to just work them in between the two layers, okay? And cut it off. So if we needed a teeny weeny little, this is like a preemie beanie. It's just so cute. Or a doll beanie, this would be what you'd have. But we're making a bunny out of it. So now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and grab some fiber fill. Okay, and we're going to stuff that up into our little bunny here. Just like so. Okay. Make sure you get them right up there. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more. Oops, just my bag just toppled over, but that's okay. There we go, just like that. And then I'm going to sew up the bottom here and not completely close it in case I want to add a little bit more, but I'm going to grab another strand of yarn. I'm going to put it on my needle. We're going to cinch close to the bottom, making this the same exact way you make the Sleepy Time Bear. If you have made the Sleepy Time Bear or the Chubby Bunny on my YouTube channel, then we're doing it basically the same way. Okay, the body anyways. For the Sleepy Time Bear, we're doing the arms the same way as well. Nope, that's not right. For the bunny, we're doing the arms the same way. The ears for the Sleepy Time Bear, the ears for the bunny, and these ears are a little bit different, but the main body part here is pretty much the same. Okay, so we're going to go around, and then what that allows us to do is to take this and pull it. And then once I pull it, I'm not going to tighten it yet because I just want to feel whether I think it's going to be full enough. So once that is cinched in like that, do I find, no, I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, just a little bit. It doesn't need a lot, but I think just that little extra bit will help it just look a little more chubby. Okay. I don't want it so full that my stitches are looking like this, okay? That's way too full. If your stitches are pulling like that, you've got way too much stuffing in there, okay? You want it to still, your stitches to still be nicely lined up, so that when your project is done, it's looking nice and neat and just not all stretched out and out of shape, okay? So we're going to give that a tie to close it off. I've got to take my needle off the yarn end here. Cut this a little bit shorter, so it's just I'm just going to cut one shorter because I'm going to need the other one to sew up the legs, okay? So we're going to take that, we're going to tie a knot, just like so, okay? Then I'm going to tie another one. Then I'm going to take that longer piece that I have, and that's the one I'm going to use for sewing up. But first we'll get rid of this little short one, okay? So thread your needle, tuck it inside of your little bunny body there, and bring it out, snip it off. That one's done with, okay? Now we're going to use this one to make our legs. So put the long one back onto your needle. You're going to look and see which side you like better. Sometimes there's a wonky stitch or something that you don't like. And so you want to make sure that's in the back. I can see my yarn color coming through here. So I'm going to, I'll take that and hide it. When you see stuff like that, I pulled it out just so you can see. When you see different color of yarn from when you cut your tails, when you changed colors, if it's showing through the layer of another color, take it down and put it into the layer of its own color so that you don't want to see those different colors shining through on the lighter colors, okay? So I saw that poking through the yellow, so I'm going to take it and poke it back through the mint. Not just the simple little thing that I did there will make this whole bunny look a little bit more professional, a little bit more beautiful, okay? So now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to poke it in the bottom there and go straight across, okay? I want to go right across. And I'm going to do that again. And pull it. And then I'm going to just go down a little bit farther and come across a little bit farther down, okay? And I'm going to pull. And then from there, I'm going to go into the next. So I came out here, I'm going to go up about a ½ inch and then out the other end. And when I get it out the other end, I'm going to go up a ½ inch and then out the back. Just back and forth like that till I have it up as high as I want it. Every once in a while, taking that and pulling on it, okay? Because that's how we're making the separation for the legs. And when you pull on it after every couple of stitches, then you can determine whether you've gone high enough or not, okay? So let's do one more here. No, I'm going to go up to about here, okay? So I'm going to go up one more. Pull that through. Then, once I go high enough, then I'm going to go back down, following that same row. So I'm going to go back down the opposite way and pull until I get to the very base again. Okay, how come you're not going through there, buddy? There we go. Got it. Okay, and one more. And once I have that down, I'm going to pull it snug. Then I like to just wrap it around the bottom again. So through there, and I'll do that a couple of times. Okay, just like that. So now I have my feet. That's so cute, okay? Now we're going to just make a knot. You can choose to do your feet first like this, or you can do your head first, whichever you like. Generally, I do the head first, but on these little bunnies, I've been doing the feet first, and it works out just as easily, and yeah, it helps me to judge where I want my head to be, actually. So you can do it either way. If you've made one of my chubby bunnies or my sleepy time bears, you'll know that I do the head first. But this time I chose to do it differently, okay? I like to give you options. I'm going to cut off another piece of yarn, if I can get that yarn to get off my thumb. Static was holding it onto my fingers. Okay, and now we're going to do the head. All right, so I put a new piece of yarn on my needle, and I actually think I'm going to do my head right where this line forms. I think that's actually a nice divider 10 rows from the top is basically what that is. So if you're doing color changes, and you're doing 5 rows of color changes, there would be 5 rows here and then 5 rows here. I did my last section here 10 rows. Okay, so that tells me that I went 10 rows down. So I'm going to go in the side there, and I'm going to just start weaving in and out all the way around. Okay, just like so. Okay. And when I get back to where the other one is, I'm going to take both of them and I'm going to pull it just like so, and see how that's creating the head. That's so cute. Oh, mercy. Okay, and then I'm going to tie that as well. Just like so, and then I'm going to tie a knot. And then I go around the second time, and I'll tell you what I do the second time, and then I'll go off camera so you can, I'll save some camera time here. You see where I went into these dips right here, right? So now, and so where I went underneath, that's where these little bumps are. I'm going to go over the bumps and into those little divots, okay? Just like so. Over the bump and into the divot, the best that I can. And that will give me a smooth neck when I pull this this one together. You're not going to have those little separations, okay? So go ahead and go over the bump and under where the divot is, okay? And do that all the way around, and then we'll tie it off one more time. Okay, so I made it around, took my needle off because it's easier for me to tie it when I have the needle off. I'm going to actually even cut these a little bit shorter. It's easier to work with then, okay? Then I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm going to pull on it again just to tighten it. Don't pull too tight because you'll snap your yarn, and that would be so sad, okay? And so there you go. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to hide them. But I'm going to hide the yellow ones up into the yellow head, under the stuffing as much as possible, but into the yellow section rather than into the green section. You can see that there's a purple thread right here. That's what I mean. I don't want that there. So I'm going to work it back until I find where its end is. And then I'm going to poke it back in under the purple section, okay? Or way underneath where the stuffing is. It just makes your project look a lot neater and a lot nicer when you take those that time to do those little details, okay? So there is what we've got so far. Now we're going to go ahead. Of course, I'm going to hide this, like I said. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close the ends of our ears and our hands, our arms, and then we will attach them. So we're going to start with our ear. Let's make sure that we have stretched it out in both directions. Okay, and we're going to start by cinching up that end. Okay, just like that. We're going to I'm going to just cut this off just a tiny wee bit, just to make it a little bit shorter. Okay, and I'm going to thread my needle. I went to Walmart again today. I mentioned in, it was either the beginning of this video or in an earlier video, that those wool needles that I use with the plastic ends, that they're my favorite. I'll show you. These ones here. But I need the one with the smaller one that I use to sew up my projects. But I broke both of mine because they've been used so much. And every time I go to Walmart, they're out. So either they're not restocking them, or they just go as fast as they get restocked. So I got to order some more off of Amazon, but this one will do. I picked this one up in Walmart today too. It's a darning needle, but it's got a sharper edge instead of a dull end, and so then it's easier to sew with. Okay, so we're going to go around this. We're going to cinch it. I'm going to tie a knot, and then I'm going to just leave it hanging because we're going to use it to sew. But I'm going to, get all these little strings out of the way. I'm going to just give that one little knot, just like so. Okay, and then tighten that. And we're going to just leave this hanging because we're going to use this to sew, to sew a little bit, but we want to finish this end first. So we're going to go to this other end. We're going to find our stitch markers. We're going to undo that little tie that we made, okay? And we're going to take our stitch marker. We're going to put it in that first, wherever the waste yarn is coming out of, that stitch it's coming out of this stitch, we're going to put a stitch marker there. That's our first stitch, okay? I'm going to take another stitch marker. we're going to go right to the left of it. And where this working yarn is coming out of this bottom one, you go right up above it and you take that top one, okay? And that'll be our last stitch. And we know that we have 22 stitches on this machine, so I'm going to go around to stitch 11 and 12, and that will be exactly on this, on the corner on this side, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right there. 13, 14, I'm just going to make sure, 13, 14. Yep, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook underneath that 12th one, and we're going to go under 11, put it through the loop that's on your hook. So we've worked 2 stitches in essence there, okay? Then we're going to go down to the bottom, grab that one, that's 3, up to the top, 4, and each time we grab a stitch, we're putting it through the loop on our hook. Okay, 5, 6, until I work all 22 stitches, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to go until you get to the end, and I'll meet you when I get back, okay? Or when I get done. All right, that didn't take long. I could have stayed on camera, but I'm going to lift up this one, and that would be 21. Take out my stitch marker, then go over to the other side, pull up on that stitch marker and get underneath that stitch. That's 22, okay? And then I'm going to, oops. First, what I'm going to do is take that 21 through the loop, and then I'm going to take that second one, go through that loop, okay? Hope that didn't confuse you. And then I'm going to grab this working yarn and put it through that loop, okay? And tighten it off. Then I can just remove this waste yarn just from the end here. Now, if this would have been the other one, the other ear, you would have to roll this up, and then you'd have to pull out that first row of yarn, and then you could take off the rest of it just as simply as this, okay? I do have a video showing that. And I was planning on showing it to you on this video too and doing it both ways, but I've already done it, okay? But I also just posted a video showing you an easy way to remove waste yarn from the beginning of a project. And so you go check that one out too. It's a quick video. So this is my one ear. This is the other one that I got done, okay? So they both look the same. Now what we're going to do is on the end here, we're going to just take our needle, and we're going to go around just the tip of that little curve there, okay? Just like so. And tie a knot. Just so that that one end comes together, okay? Just like that, okay? Now, what we're going to do is this is going to be the side that we're going to sew on. So I hope you've left a long enough tail. If not, then you're going to have to just add one, which is easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide this up into my ear. I'm going to snip it off. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other one. And then when I get my arm here, just like this one, I'm going to cinch close the end, just like we did with the ear, just like this. I'm going to close this end, just like we did with our ear. And when we're finished that, come back and I'll show you how we make it like this. Okay? So go ahead and do those two. Cinch this end, hide it, close this with your crochet hook, just like we did our ears. And then do it again with the your second arm, and then see me back. Okay, I was just closing up my last arm, and I thought I would show you how I would take out that yarn. That's when I use waste yarn at the beginning of the project, I did it on this one, so I'll just show you. You're gonna roll up that rim, okay? Roll up until you get to that very top row of stitches, just like that, okay? And you will see that there are there's stitches all along the side there, okay? All along the top there. So you're gonna pick the top row. You're gonna pinch the stitch to the left. You can go anywhere down in the row that's close to the end there. My end yarn is coming out here, so I'm just about 5 stitches over. Then you pull it out. So then you go down about 5 or 6 stitches. You roll it up until you get to the very top row. Pinch that stitch and pull it. And you do that again. You can go down 5 or 6 stitches. Pinch the stitch on the left. Pull the top row. We do this until we get to the very beginning. Okay? Then we pinch it, and you'll see I'm done pinching that very first row. Now all I have to do is pull that waste yarn off, and it comes off like a dream. No problem there. So that's how you remove waste yarn that's done on the beginning of your work, okay? So once we have that cinched up and we have that end closed, this is our arm. We're going to fold it in half. My husband's going to come down right in a second and say hello to me because he just got home from work, and I'm going to be videotaping, and I'm going to have to edit it. You pick up 2 bars there on this side on the bottom, then you go across, and you pick up 2 bars on that side. Then you come back down, and where you came out on this side, you go in and you pick up 2 bars. Then where you came out here, you go in and you pick up 2 bars just like that in the middle of your stitches. And we're going to do that all the way to the top. Yeah, I knew it. He worked late today, so that's why I knew he would come downstairs. But anyways, I finished getting up to the top here, and so I'm going to just tie this off. I can either tie it to this yarn end here, just do it like this, okay? I'm going to just tie it off like this. Tie a knot. I'm going to take this one and hide it inside. We're going to put a little tiny bit of stuffing in here. Not a lot, just a little bit, okay? But before we do that, I want to make this round opening a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to go in and out of around the top till I get to the halfway point there. And I'm going to pull it just a smidgen, just a little bit. See how this side is now just a little bit shorter than that side? And then I'm going to just tie a knot here to keep that intact. And then I'm going to go around the other side and just make it very, very lightly pull that in. And then I'm going to tie a knot just because I want it to stay in place like that when I stuff it, okay? Oh my word. I don't think I've ever had so much trouble with my needles and stuff. It's not the normal needle I use, and so, you know, it's funny how you get used to what you get used to. Okay. So I'm going to stick just a tiny bit of stuffing in there. Not too much. Just so you can see that there's some in there, but, you know, not that it makes it really fat and overly stuffed. So just so there's a little bit of softness in there, just like so, okay? And I'm going to do that to my other arm right here, okay? So do exactly what we just did. And for your ears, you're going to cinch close both sides. Just once you cinch that end, you're going to just bring your ends together just like we did with that first one. I'm going to do it with this one. I'm just going to put a little knot right in the end there, just like that. Okay. And then when I'm done that, I'm going to take the yarn from the other end, and I'm now going to weave it in and out of the top of this ear. Okay. Just till I get to the end. And what I want to do with that is I just want to pull on it slightly so that I get it a little bit shorter. I don't want it too like as wide as what it comes off. So do it so it's about let me grab my tape measure and I'll tell you about how wide I want the top of the ear to be. Okay, you're gonna just cinch it until it's about 1 inch across, okay? And then just like we did with the arms, we're gonna just tie it off and into a knot, because then it will hold it into that length, okay? It's not gonna go anywhere. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our little bunny, and we are going to start the assembly process. I already put one arm on, and so I could show you. So if this is our leg, okay, the side of the body, you'll see that it's to the front a little bit. So I line it up in the middle of that leg, and then I do about a stitch to a half a stitch over to the front of the body when I sew it on. But before I do that, we already made this a little bit smaller by gathering both halves. What I do is I take that yarn end now and I just go across just to seam it closed. And it only takes 3 or 4 stitches. This is 3 and this is 4 right here, okay? So, and then catch it underneath that loop and pull it. And then I begin to sew it on, okay? So I've got that closed off. And then I'm going to put it on, line it up over my leg, just like that, and then move it forward just ever so slightly, okay? Not very much. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pick up a stitch in that neck seam, okay? And from there, I'm gonna go underneath, and so it's coming out. It's hard to hold it. I need to hold it with both hands. And then it's coming out like that, up like that, and I pull it tight, and then I go in again, a little bit closer. And I go from underneath and come up. And I do that because I want this to go over top of that seam before I put it into the neck, okay? I think it gives a nicer finish, okay? So there we go. So now I'm gonna go back into that little neck, grab another piece, come from underneath and come up. Okay, pull that tight. Then I'm going to go, it's going over again, and I'm going to do that all the way till I get to the end, and then I'm going to finish it off. Okay, so you go ahead and you do that. So on your arm, you can go over and then under if that's easier for you. I've done it both ways, and I can't actually even remember which way I did it on my Chubby Bunny or my Sleepy Time Bear, but I'm pretty sure I've done it the same way. But I know that I have done it the opposite way, where I'll go from the top here. See, I was just getting ready to do that. But either way will work. But I think if you go from the bottom and then go over top of this little ridge, it just looks a little bit neater. Okay, so keep doing that till you get your arm sewed on, and when you got that done and get to the corner here, tie it off in a knot. I lost it again, so I'm going to do it off camera, and when you get that done, then we'll be ready to put our ears on. Okay, all right, so I like how that looks, and now we're going to take our ears, and that little lip that you have on the bottom there is going to go towards the body. Okay, so now we're going to take these little ears and we're going to match them up with the side of the leg, and we're going to go straight up, and these are going to be centered on the leg. Okay, so then the arms are a little bit in front of them, and then we're going to go about 1/4 of an inch down from that center point of the head. I measured it just so I could tell you, about 1/4 inch down. And even though we made these an inch, I'm finding as I line them up, I think they're a little bit too wide yet. And if you find that, then just tuck in your corner here, just a very, very little bit, tuck it in just like that. And then sew it on. Okay, and then when I get to the end, this is like that. When I get to the end, I'm going to tuck this in and I'm going to sew it. It's probably about 1/4 of an inch. I just find this head isn't stuffed as much as some of the other ones that I've done, so I need to make it a little bit smaller. And of course, you will figure that out when you do yours. Okay, and just take a look at it before you finish off the last knot, and just finalize it the way it looks best for you and for your bunny. Okay, and so then we're going to attach that. Okay, and I'm going to go over, go underneath that head, pick up some stitches. Then I'm just going to keep doing that. Go over top, come under, pick up some yarn and some stuffing. And we're going to sew that ear on just like that, all the way across. I tucked this in a little bit before I laid it on there. You can see that. You can see where it's tucked in. And I'm going to just sew it like that, okay? And here we go. So that was my 3rd stitch. This 4th one's a little bit tighter because we folded it over. I'm going to grab a little bit more there. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it around here, and I'm going to just go in a little bit. See how nice that finishes on the top there? And I'm going to come under, and I'm just going to go underneath and bring it to this corner. I like to tie it in the back, not in the front, okay? And so then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let that hang until I put on my 2nd ear, because then if I don't like how they're placed, I don't have to search for a knot in a hidden yarn end to remove it. So I always do that. I just finish it off where I want it. Then I go and I put my other one on. And if I like how they're lined up and how they look, then I go ahead and I hide my yarn end, tight a knot and hide my yarn ends, and I can finish it off that way. This one's going to look so adorable. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And when you're done, come back. And there you go. It's so cute. In the beginning, I was going to do the arms and the ears both green, but then I decided later, no, I'm going to pull on this purple and do the arms purple and just make it more colorful. And I'm glad I changed it because it's just so adorable. So now I've got my needle and my black thread. We're going to just go up through the back of the head and up into the front where we're going to place our eyes. Okay. So if this is the center of our bunny, you take it up and then you just move over. I'm over 2 rows, okay? 2 rows this direction. I'll go about the same that way. Then all I'm going to do is go across. See, here's 1 stitch right here, okay? I'm going to just go across, go underneath, pull that through, go over again. So essentially that's 1 row. I'm going to do 2. So I'm going to go in, then I'm going to come up over here because I only want 2. I don't need it any thicker than 2. Okay, so that's one eye. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, so I'm going to go over, come back up here. Okay. And then back in and out the back of the head because I want to do the nose pink. Out the back of the head. This needle's a little short, so let me see here. Just, you find that same location and then you go back and look at the front because you don't want any puckers. So you're going to pull it, then you're going to lift up on those stitches. And if you have your eyes where you like them and how you like them, that's going to be great once the nose comes on. Then you can cut this off. Tie a knot. Don't pull it tight. Just tie it, the first one very loosely, and then the second one you can go tighter. Then you're going to take your needle. I'm going to grab this one just because. And you're going to thread it and hide it underneath the stuffing and cut it off. Okay, I'm going to do that because I need to find a needle that works better. So I'm going to do that off camera. No, I saw this little lonely guy sitting not far away, so I'm going to use him. It's a bigger darning needle with a point on it. So I'm going to put those in there. Okay. I'm going to make it easier. I'm going to then put this back in that same hole, and I'm going to go as much underneath that stuffing as I can, and then out another spot, okay? Because I do not want to see these black threads. And then I'm going to pull on that, cut it off, and then I can take my needle and lift up on that, and you don't see it, okay? So that's how I hid my yarn ends from my eyes, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and put the nose on. All right, so for the nose, we just want a little triangle. You can just go back and forth like we did with the eyes and just go 3 or 4 times, or you can do what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go in the side here. I'm going to come up in between those 2 eyes, just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to just go down a half a stitch and then come over. Just like so. And then I'm going to just come a little bit over to the other side of where the middle is there and come down into the point of that nose again. Making sure this doesn't wrap around my ears and my arms. Just like so. You see how it sort of crossed over like that? Now I'm just going to go up to this point and back under and across. Guiding it with my thumb. See, just like that. And then back down into this point. And out the side there. Very simple on these little guys. Okay, just like so. Put my needle underneath there to lift it up a little bit, so that's stuffing, and there we have it. We have our little pink nose, okay? Now, I am going to trail this back down into that point. I just realized I want to do a little button, belly button. So I'm going to go back into that little hole that I came out of. And you can, you know, if you do the same thing, you go, you know, just do what I'm doing now. Or when you put your last entry in your nose, just come straight under and come down to the middle here, okay? And then I'm just going to pick up that yarn just like that. I'm going to wrap it around my needle 4 or 5 times. Let's do 5 times. Then you pull on it so that your needle goes really close to your body. And then you go into that same point. Looks like major surgery here. Into that same point, and then you come up. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it back up through where I want to tie it off, okay? It looks scary, but it's really not. It's an embroidery stitch that actually works, okay? You might have to, because you're going through so many layers of stuffing, you might have to, oh, did you hear that? I grabbed it with my teeth. Be careful when you do that, okay? And pull it through. It wasn't as bad as it sounded. You pull that through, and then it just does a little knot there, and it is nice and secure. It makes a beautiful little belly button, just like that. Oh, I just love it. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to, I know I'm going to get comments telling me, why did you put that in your teeth? I don't usually, unless I absolutely have to, but I'm very careful. So don't follow suit. Find a way to get that needle through your fabric without putting it in your teeth. And then we're going to take our darning needle and we're going to hide this again and pull it through to the back and tie it off just like we did our black. And once we do that, which I'm going to do, and then I'll come back. No, I saw this little lonely guy sitting not far away, so I'm going to use him. It's a bigger darning needle with a point on it. So I'm going to put those in there. Okay. I'm going to make it easier. I'm going to then put this back in that same hole, and I'm going to go as much underneath that stuffing as I can, and then out another spot, okay? Because I do not want to see these black threads. And then I'm going to pull on that, cut it off, and then I can take my needle and lift up on that, and you don't see it, okay? So that's how I hid my yarn ends from my eyes, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and put the nose on. All right, so for the nose, we just want a little triangle. You can just go back and forth like we did with the eyes and just go 3 or 4 times, or you can do what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go in the side here. I'm going to come up in between those 2 eyes, just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to just go down a half a stitch and then come over. Just like so. And then I'm going to just come a little bit over to the other side of where the middle is there and come down into the point of that nose again. Making sure this doesn't wrap around my ears and my arms. Just like so. You see how it sort of crossed over like that? Now I'm just going to go up to this point and back under and across. Guiding it with my thumb. See, just like that. And then back down into this point. And out the side there. Very simple on these little guys. Okay, just like so. Put my needle underneath there to lift it up a little bit, so that's stuffing. And there we have it. We have our little pink nose, okay? Now, I am going to trail this back down into that point. I just realized I want to do a little button, belly button. So I'm going to go back into that little hole that I came out of. And you can, if you do the same thing, you go, just do what I'm doing now. Or when you put your last entry in your nose, just come straight under and come down to the middle here, okay? And then I'm just going to pick up that yarn just like that. I'm going to wrap it around my needle 4 or 5 times. Let's do 5 times. Then you pull on it so that your needle goes really close to your body. And then you go into that same point. Looks like major surgery here. Into that same point, and then you come up. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it back up through where I want to tie it off, okay? It looks scary, but it's really not. It's an embroidery stitch that actually works, okay? You might have to, because you're going through so many layers of stuffing, you might have to... Oh, did you hear that? I grabbed it with my teeth. Be careful when you do that, okay? And pull it through. It wasn't as bad as it sounded. You pull that through, and then it just does a little knot there, and it is nice and secure. It makes a beautiful little belly button, just like that. Oh, I just love it. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to... I know I'm going to get comments telling me, why did you put that in your teeth? I don't usually, unless I absolutely have to, but I'm very careful. So don't follow suit. Find a way to get that needle through your fabric without putting it in your teeth. And then we're going to take our darning needle and we're going to hide this again and pull it through to the back and tie it off just like we did our black. And once we do that, which I'm going to do, and then I'll come back. All right, I'm back. It's done, and he's so cute. All you got to do now is add the pom-pom. Now, I use the small clover pom-pom maker. I do have a video on my channel that shows you how to use this if you just picked one up and you're not sure how to use them. And if you haven't picked them up, I would recommend that you do because they're so great. I just love it. This is the smallest one, but I have four different sizes. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to attach that right there. So I'm going to just go through underneath 2 rows of stitches, put them on, tie a knot. So adorable. Oh, tie a knot, and then I'm going to I don't have to hide this one. I'm just going to cut them off the same length as the pom-pom fibers. Okay, just like so. And isn't that just priceless? Just priceless. Loving them. I think that it's so cute. And they're all just so unique. Depends, it doesn't matter what color you make. They're all nice. Like this one is the one that we did together. Then I've got one like this. I didn't put a belly button on this little guy because, and he looks a little bit chubbier because of it. And I like that look too. So whatever you like. I've got one that's done in 4-weight yarn. His head's a little bit wonky. It should have been a little bit higher, but you know what? He's unique. He's pretty special. And then there's a couple more. We got all kinds of friends, bunny friends here that I made because they're so quick and easy to make up. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let's get all these little gaffers out of the way here. Thank you again for joining me on this tutorial. I really appreciate you, and I thank you so much for being a part of the Koala Knits and Knacks community. It really is growing quickly and with beautiful people. And so thank you for being a part of it. If you have watched this video and you liked it, please hit that thumbs up button. I would appreciate that very much. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. And you know what? I also have a Facebook group that's under the same name, Koala Knits and Knacks. I will put the link for that in the description below. And if you haven't come over and joined that group, please do so. It doesn't disappoint. You know what? I'm encouraged by that group every day. It's growing very, very quickly as well, but it's full of wonderful, wonderful crafters just like you. So I'd love to have you as a part of that community. So come on over and join us there as well. And thanks again for your support of my channel. I appreciate it very, very much. I look forward to bringing you new tutorials on a regular basis. So make sure you subscribe so that you're always notified and check in on a regular basis. All right, my friends, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.